Today we're doing a live demonstration of the speech and speaker recognition engines of recognition technologies called RecoMadeEasy. This demonstration is for English and its different dialects. So what we're going to do is we're going to first show you a full diarization, which means speech and speaker recognition and segmentation, and then follow through by opening a bunch of different live radio stations online and going through the different stations, each of which being from a country with a different dialect. For example, we'll have one from the US, from New York. We'll have something from Australia, from Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand. To give you a little bit of a background about the product, the product is running on Linux OS, and this specific demonstration that you're seeing is actually running on a notebook computer. It's running specifically on a Lenovo laptop, and it can run on an embedded processor such as an ARM A53 processor, for example, which is in the Raspberry Pi. So you can run it on a Raspberry Pi basically in real time, and there's no need for any cloud, for any server assistance. Everything runs embedded on that processor. For example, the transcription can actually run up to about 17 times real time on this notebook computer, on a generic notebook computer. That means if you have 17 seconds of audio and you just give it the audio file, it's going to come back within a second with the whole transcription. The architecture is a client-server architecture where you have these workers which can process speech and speaker identification and segmentation, and there is a light client, or more than light client, one light client actually, that you can run on different platforms or different machines, or you can have everything on one machine, which would be the case, for example, for an embedded version. It's the same, actually it's the same engine, same architecture. All you have to do is just basically put all the components on the same machine and you've got an embedded system. The client is very light. All it does is just basically fills a buffer and then passes it along to the server side, which then processes it and sends back a JSON file or stream, and then that JSON stream can be parsed for all the different information that's in it. The engine for each language has 240,000 unique words. So this would be basically, for English, would be the top 240,000 most frequent words in the language. Basically, the things that you want to look for in the demo are the fact that, for example, in the transcription, there's only a single model that handles all the different dialects. The transcriptions being done on live radio, so we're just switching randomly back and forth between these different channels. And the channels, like I said, are from New York, Australia, England, Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand. And the results have basically a beginning timestamp, an end timestamp. You can look at it as the results come back. And then for the speech recognizer, you'll see the actual text of what's being said. And for the speaker recognition part, you'll see again a beginning timestamp, end timestamp, a segment number, and also the gender, whether the person is a male or female, and then also the ID of the individual. The system actually returns more than one ID. It also returns all the contending IDs sorted by likelihood, but here we're just showing the top one. Like I said, the result actually comes back in JSON format, and here, so that it's human readable, we're just parsing it and showing you the important information. Okay, so let's just move on and do the demo. The first part is going to be the full tool diarization, and after that we're going to do transcription of live radio.
If you stand and stare out of the window on your own, you're an antisocial, friendless idiot.
Since we only have 5 minutes, it's better that we have a fast and simpler way.
With 24 million subscribers across 14 African countries by 2004.
Whether it's K through 12 or the great universities or community colleges, most of the money for those things is coming out of these state budgets.
So this simple narrative equating Western demands and Chinese suffering is appealing.
Is that the state says, well, we don't have to spend any money. We're just not going to bring in that money from those companies. But what you have is an $11 billion program that now the state has promised these tax breaks. That revenue doesn't come in. So it's not like the state's budget goes down. Who's going to pay for it? And so now we have less corporate money coming into the budget, and so who has to pay the bill? Taxpayers and the businesses that didn't get the tax break. So everybody else pays more for some companies to pay less. And, there is a cost-benefit analysis there, too, in terms of, is it worth it to create those jobs? That's been the debate.
And Nancy, this the whole program really has come under scrutiny recently. Last January, Governor Murphy announced an audit of the EDA. What did the audit find?
The most troubling finding was that the EDA was relying on self-reporting of these companies after they were getting their tax breaks. They have to.
In the past, I talked over the top of you then, but I've seen stuff, sorry about that, seen stuff in the past on Landline about truffles over in the West, and it's a really, I've never even eaten them except for the little chocolate truffles, which are a different kettle of fish. Just to mix metaphors, but
I've got truffles in my cheese. I love truffles in the cheese.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's like gold if it works, isn't it? It's and apparently the Australian ones were not only was Western Australia the place for them in Australia, but they were producing world class, I think.
I can imagine.
Games console right now, of course, typically you go out and buy a game on a disc, or you more recently download a game, but those downloads are absolutely enormous for high quality games. Several gigabytes, take hours to download and set up. Google thinks with Stadia that it can offer console quality gaming, but streams down your internet connection. So rather than having to download the files ahead of time, you could just load it up and play within a matter of seconds. And what that also means is you can do that across a number of devices and pick up where you left off. So you could be playing at home on your TV, and then you could take the very same game at the very same quality on your mobile phone and head out and carry on. Now it's expected that you will need to pay a monthly subscription for this, but Google hasn't actually confirmed that. It hasn't confirmed that it will be a subscription or how much it might cost or any of those kind of details. And also what it hasn't done too much of is confirm what exactly you'll be able to play on this service, although they did promise big name developers will.
Many of us can remember the first time we took on a bike without a helping hand or stabilizers, the giddy exhilaration of realizing that you're actually doing it. And so it went on, and I realized that not only is this an interesting book in content, but you're a really wonderful writer, Alan.
That's very kind. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's true. Why the cycle for you? Why did you embark on this adventure? You say it's something you loved from being a child, but you embarked on an adventure from coast to coast off the Highlands. Why?
So it was in the summer of 2016 that I did the ride that the book's based on in July, and I think there were two things. There was a bit of the politics that were going on at the time were discomforting for a lot of us, and also a close friend of mine died. And I had a bit of time. I'd come to the end. I'm a contractor, a freelancer. I work for the banks and the insurance offices, and I had a bit of time, and I just really wanted to have a bit of time to myself and to really go into the heart of the country and just be on my own and see see what was there and see what I thought of it, see what I felt about it.
Processing, okay? Just can't believe you kept all this inside for so long. You know I'm here, right?
There you go. That's us there, Jordan Peele's latest magnum opus.
It's great, and I'm never watching it again, basically. Properly scary. I think it's really interesting. Jordan Peele gave Lupita Nyong'o, the leading lady here, a wish list of horror films that he wanted her to watch before they started filming. I think it's quite revealing, the films that are in there, including The Shining, The Birds, Let the Right One In, that great Scandinavian film from a few years ago that got remade and wasn't as scary, and Funny Games, which is the one I kept going back to as I was watching this. Michael Haneke's film. Actually, there are two of them. He remade it in English as well and set it in the US. But I think the reason I kept going back to it is maybe most horrific use of the sport golf ever. People who've seen Funny Games will know people get lamped very badly with golf balls, and there is liberal use of a golf club in this film. So I was thinking of Michael Haneke a lot as I watched this. It's properly scary. It's really funny in places. Elizabeth Moss, who may be the greatest female actor out there at the moment, is allowed to go full crazy in it to delightful effect. She is very...
And just get that sense of having this journey and getting to the other side of the country and just seeing what was there, what I felt.
So many people will be able to relate to what you just said. It sounds like you had quite a hectic life. You were busy, you were working full time, and something happened to you, a friend died. You wanted to take time out to not listen to anything, not have any outside influences, and just do this. Wouldn't we all love to just calm down? So that was the inspiration for you to start.
Every year kind of certify how many people work at their facility, and for the 10 years, or in some tax break programs, or 20 years, they have to continually say, okay, we haven't laid anyone off enough, we still deserve this break. And so there was no follow-up or accountability in terms of whether those numbers were true or real. It was merely the self-reporting of the companies. The other thing that was interesting was that the EDA is supposed to, if a company decreases the jobs and doesn't make its threshold, the EDA is supposed to cut the entire break for that year, so they don't get their tax credit that year. It turns out that what they've been doing is reducing the tax credit by a percentage. So those were probably the two most interesting things.
And on the politics, you write in the story that this issue has caused a rift between Governor Murphy and other Democrats from South Jersey. What are the politics at play here?
So the South Jersey Democrats
in cold weather or rain, so you never quite know what our inject day is going to be.
That's true. Yes. Donna from Melton, James Paul, she got the question correct, and James Paul McCartney, as I say, Harry from Cootamundra, great little town just outside of Young. Love Cootamundra. And Chris, the Night Watch, Harry from Cooter again, you've got it again. And Chris has got the second question correct. So what do you think, June? What do you think?